Really look at your business as an investment. Pay yourself conservatively so that you have money in your business account where you can prioritize growth. You want to be able to hire the best talent. I'm a firm believer in having a really good lawyer and a really good accountant. I might for myself, if I'm out and about, I might think twice if I want to go buy a designer bag or something. But when it comes to stuff for my business, I just spent a ton of money on this really expensive PR software that's going to help me churn out some pitches a lot more strategically. So, if I didn't have that money in my account, I may be, a little nervous to do those things. But I absolutely,
reinvest.
Exactly. I reinvest, and I know that it comes back tenfold.
Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle we are sitting down with a friend in the room. Finally got a chance to have her come on. She is the founder and CEO of BrandBomb PR. She's got a notable career representing clients in several industries, some big name celebrities, including Will Smith and Chris Brown, just to name a few. Today, we're actually going to get in and discuss how to build a successful PR agency and how to effectively develop a PR campaign. So we'll get into that. So welcome to the circle.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here with you guys. Thank you so much.
We're finally able to make this happen, man. So we've been able to, use some of your clients over the years, which you gave us some great business owners that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah, been here several times. It feels different though being on this side of the mic though.
Yeah, just kind of jumping right in. How did you choose getting into this public relations industry? I know you've kind of had, your hands in a lot of different businesses. I know you've been in business for probably about 10 or 12 years, but what made you choose this line of work to be able to get into?
So my mom told me when I was in 8th grade, trying to figure out what I wanted to do at a young age, you should really look into doing PR. My uncle's best friend was a really big publicist in California, actually in Hollywood. And at the time I was living in Philadelphia. So the thought of being on the West Coast doing PR was just sounded so cool. Yeah. And I've always been a really good writer. I've always, been into celebrities and events. And, at a young age, I knew no matter what I did, I wanted to do something that, wouldn't be redundant. I didn't want to come to an office every day and just repeat the same thing and just live a boring life. I always knew that I needed something excitement that kind of, was a blend of my talents of writing and being creative and, networking and just, getting out there and doing events.
Yeah.
So, with that, PR is very generalized, right? I think there's a lot of different aspects to it, and you're trying to build something on behalf of somebody or a business, right? So in a nutshell, how would you kind of, provide a definition of what that entails from an entrepreneur standpoint or a business standpoint or even a personal brand standpoint?
Yeah, so PR is basically maximizing your brand or business in front of your audience and to the public. It's the relationship that you have with the public. So a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference between advertising and PR. Advertising is paid for. PR is earned media. So advertising is you saying you're the best. You bought the ad. It's sponsored. It's by you. PR is, the strategy is instead of it being you are the best, it's coming from the media outlet endorsing you as the best. So PR is more of the story in the magazine compared to the ad right next to it.
Got it. So we were discussing earlier, so let's say you have a budget, right? We know you've worked with multiple different celebrities or wherever that brand is. Let's say, for example, Crazy Horse, right? Let's say they give you whatever that budget number is, $30,000, $25,000. How do you come up with these menu of services to put it out to be able to utilize, so the money goes into the right buckets per se?
Right. So it really depends on what the business is. Okay. Generally, when we take on a new client, we always start to build a buzz locally, in the community. That also assists with the call to action. And, before we generally pitch nationally, if you don't have a buzz locally, that kind of says a lot and it makes it harder to build a buzz for you nationally. A lot of our clients come to us for events. We're doing a lot of business launches, maybe red carpet cutting, maybe having a celebrity host. We like to get people in whatever community that we're in, from government affairs to come out and support us. So things like reaching out to mayors and local council people and just helping create the buzz for the brand. We're seeing a lot of influencer strategy. So, booking talent, doing red carpets. We are constantly monitoring the news to see who's trending. So, for example, I've worked with a lot of med spas. And for med spas, they want to be, top of mind with national women's interest outlets, things like Us Weekly, In Touch, People.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for them to get those placements, just, us pitching those services. So the way we can get the brand in front of those outlets is by, we'll book a celebrity that is trending, we'll have them host, and then we'll work with those outlets, and then the client will reap the benefits of having that celebrity, and then they'll be able to get the press, so-and-so who's in the news. Exactly. It was just at this med spa. We've done a lot of celebrity makeovers, and it really just depends on the brand.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's like there's so many different menus kind of that you have where, so if somebody comes to you, is it more of like a menu that they would put together like where, you could advertise and be on the news as one, kind of budget part, or is it magazine or those different kind of templates? It really,
there's a lot of things that we can do, but also it does come down to budget. So, some of our services include like local pitching, national pitching, awards, which is something that's really big. So for our clients, we have a lot of in the medical field. So obviously doctors, any kind of award really speaks prestige. So we'll pitch them not only on a local level, but we'll also pitch them on an industry level. And we help guide all of our clients to get to those goals. So, whenever we're meeting with a client for the first time, I say like, what are your goals? Like what media outlet would really wow you? Like kind of like to start backwards. And then we kind of tell them the strategy that we think would help them reach their goals compared to, oftentimes clients will just come to us and say, oh, we just need this press release, composed and distributed. And I'm like, hold on, let's find what the angle is, because us distributing a press release, if we don't find that angle and we don't have a solid strategy of follow up, it's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
And when you have that, so say you have, like Paki mentioned, the suite of services that you're providing, and when you're trying to develop those services and contacts, to me, it seems like that'd be the most important part of it. Like you have to know people in those industries at those various magazines or and the news stations. Did you spend a lot of time having to develop that before you built your PR business, or was it kind of always consistently evolving?
Yeah, it's really a mix. A lot of what we do really, having strong media relationships is key because, sometimes when we run into roadblocks, I can easily pick up the phone and just like that, get something for a client. But also I think, I've been doing this so long that I can look at, whatever the client story, whatever we're pitching, and I can tell right away if we need to tweak it. If you want to get press, the best way to do that is you have to be able to tie your client into what's trending in the world. So perfect example, I just picked up a client in town, Santa's Wrap. They're a local holiday decor store. The owner had hired someone to do a press release for them. And the press release was basically like, Santa's Wrap is fully stocked. We have everything. We're the best, that kind of thing. I totally had to change the press release because I had to manage the client's expectation. Like this press release reads like an advertisement. Saying you're the best is not going to generate you any kind of publicity. There's no news angle. What's trending in the news right now is inflation, soaring prices, people aren't traveling. So we reworked that press release, how people are, planning to decorate their homes and make their homes more cheery this season since they're not planning to travel. Yeah. And, people are starting to shop early because of inflation. And then it becomes a news story. And then we were able to get that client 2 or 3 news segments, an interview with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, placement off the strip. So it's really just, tying your client into the overall news, what's happening in the world.
That's interesting to be able to have that strategy. You don't realize that piggybacking on, like you were saying, what's trending and things like that, that's really what can drive traffic to the brand. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I know a few weeks ago, or what was it, last week when I saw you, we were talking about Crazy Horse when we did the announcement on Bitcoin. So, that was, obviously a strip club being one of the biggest in the country, one of the most popular, accepting Bitcoin, that's big news. But, I had secured that announcement with TMZ just for the wow factor, like Bitcoin for lap dances. And when I did draft the press release that came after that exclusive, we really led with, Crazy Horse is just steps away from Allegiant Stadium. There's people that are coming from all over the world. And imagine the fact that now people from all over the world, they don't have to exchange currency because, we have Bitcoin. So that was that factor. And also just the level of privacy. Of course, going to a strip club, people like to not leave a paper trail. So that was big news. The fact that you can go and, virtually nobody will know that you were there now. Compared to like seeing it on a receipt.
That's exactly what we were talking about. Is like being able to do that, now being the first of industry, have you seen that now other gentlemen's clubs have picked up on that immediately?
Yeah.
To try to figure out that.
Absolutely.
That
I mean, the club is definitely used to that. I mean, they definitely are big innovators. So we're constantly, I work really closely with the owner and the general manager and the assistant general manager, and we're seeing what's trending. You know, we're trying to cater to that sophisticated audience and like, what's next? What can we do? What can we roll out what is that like next level amenity that our customers want to see? And then, you know, just like in any business, you know, competitors follow suit.
So, like, for example, Palms, I know I think you had worked with them back in the day, and then also they're a client of yours, correct?
So Palms, I was the PR manager there for several years, 2013 to 2016.
So they're in a unique situation, right? So the Fertitta family ran them. They were under Station Casino umbrella, and then they ended up selling it, right, to the first kind of like Indian casinos here. Is that somebody that you're working with now to kind of restructure and drive traffic to Palms to kind of be that big name on the market now? Or?
Yeah, so I'm not working with them currently. Okay. Actually, when I was in-house, it was transitioning to the stations team.
Got it.
And just in my few short years of being with Palms, we had seen, I don't know, there's maybe 3 or so changes in like presidents. So when I was at Palms, we were doing a lot of rollouts of certain concepts, and then another president would come in and be like, okay, that was a great campaign, but we're going to change this. So, you know, I worked really closely with one of my mentors, Alex Acuna, and we were constantly having to figure out, okay, how can we do this next rollout and get people excited and not make it look like, you know, what had been done previously was a failure, and just kind of keep elevating the brand.
Got it. Yeah.
You know, one thing, you know, having those big names under your belt, you know, how do you differentiate yourself from other PR agencies and ultimately attract, you know, some of those people that do have those more extensive budgets? Because I feel like, you know, you really have to develop your own personal brand to be able to push effectively what you're able to provide and the value proposition that you're giving to them. You know, how have you kind of built those relationships?
I would say, well, we're a boutique PR agency, and I know a lot of PR agencies, they kind of put their founder front and center to kind of seal the deal, and then they just disappear, and then they let, you know, maybe a coordinator out of college kind of just handle the account. Me, I'm heavily involved with all of our accounts. We're extensively training. I'm scaling slow because I want to scale the right way. I want to make sure that everybody on my team is, you know, an extension of me. And, you know, I really feel like my creativity or really any successful creativity is really what's going to fuel their success. I'm really, really good at being able to find an angle when there's not an angle there. And I've probably done some of the craziest PR campaigns in the city. Like I've done, I mean, besides having a lot of cannabis and the strip club clients, I've done a lot of work with Cam Soda, which is the adult campsite. And that's just because I work with a lot of reality stars. So from my years of experience at the Palms, when we were having everybody at Ditch Fridays and we did a ton of filming, I mean, everybody's filmed at the Palms. And then at Crazy Horse, our owner is always really big on the TMZ press and the Page 6 press, which is not necessarily easy to get in the middle of the Me Too movement. So, you know, I would always have my eyes open on, you know, who's going to jail, who's getting married, who's, you know, whatever big scandal. And I'm a relationship builder. So I've kept in touch with a lot of those people, and I've been able to do a lot of fun things, whether it's giving them a whole celebrity body makeover, or doing an adult cam show, or just booking them at a red carpet event. So I think, again, it just comes down to what are the client's goals? Who is their audience? Who do they need to be in front of? And, you know, once you figure that out, then we kind of take it from there.
Yeah. We were talking offline about influencers, right? So it's like the influencers is like the big, you know, driving traffic to brands and things like that. What would be a suggestion from like a PR's perspective on how to do that the right way and drive traffic the right way for somebody that's an influencer?
I would say one, most important is always have a contract involved. I think it's really, really important to invest in any kind of official document, but I feel like the contract adds a sense of legitimacy to everything. So every time we work with an influencer, you know, whether it's on a trade deal or whether they're hosting, there's always a contract that outlines the deliverables on our end and their end. And I think that's the most important place to start, because, you know, you want to be able to hold them accountable.
That's
and,
very important. Yeah.
You know, and then they can hold the venue accountable. But otherwise, I mean, it will just be, you know, a big cluster, if not
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And, one thing that we're seeing, obviously, it seems like it's getting more and more prevalent where you have big names or businesses that tend to get some bad publicity. I think the most important part, I would assume most people come to you when they're having really challenging issues, with they're really trying to redevelop their brand, reposition themselves. What is your kind of overall process when you have something that's pretty major, that's, detrimental to a business, and really trying to reposition it and get them back on track?
It really depends what it is. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes I really feel like it's better to say nothing and just, go back to your core strategy and focus on what the mission of the brand is, compared to digging a hole more and more. For example, just off the top of my head, I think it was like Adam Levine that recently had a cheating scandal.
Yeah.
So, that was all over the press. And then his statement that he gave was I can't remember exactly, but it was something that I felt like dug a much bigger hole, where he was like, oh no, that didn't happen. And then that just gave room to fuel the fire, to have the accuser like, oh, well, here's text and that kind of thing. Now, I mean, in that situation, I would have taken ownership of the situation, handled it completely different. I wouldn't have went radio silent. But in saying that, I just think it really depends on the situation. Every situation is completely different. I feel like it's always important to be transparent, to take ownership. Mistakes happen, but if there is a mistake, always take ownership, take accountability, and have a game plan on how you're going to do better in the future.
And do you ever get to a point where you're like, there's nothing I can do to help you? Like,
that's literally what I was asking.
You're too far. You're too deep.
You know what? It would only get to that if the founder or whoever we're dealing with does not want to do the right thing, doesn't want to comply. Like, we like to do, we like to do good business, and I think in business, we all make mistakes, and I think, depending on the situation, if you take ownership and you aim to fix the problem and vow to do better, you can get through that mess. But if you're behind the scenes working with someone that's standing by the bad stuff,
of course,
then that would
or
be
they
a
don't
problem.
care.
Exactly, or they just
ego
don't
kicks
care.
in and they
Exactly.
don't care.
Then it's just then I'm not the one for you.
Yeah. Since you've been in business now for probably 10 to 12 years, what's one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started in your business?
I would say that it's really important to work on your business, not just in your business.
Okay.
In the sense of, at least in our nature of business, we're constantly working on several different businesses all the time. But I had to learn that I had to also prioritize my own business and take the time to, keep my own website updated, figure out how I'm going to get to the top of Google, look for opportunities for my own business. And I think that that's one of the things that a lot of business owners may not realize, or, we just get so busy because we wear so many hats. And that's something that I wish I knew earlier on, to make my own business just as much as a priority as my clients.
So putting the marketing dollars, like you were saying about Google, is, paying for the pay-per-clicks or the search engine optimizations, where you're actually taking the money to actually put into your PR company. So
yes, absolutely. That's important. But for us, what we do is again, the earned media. So
got it.
Again, that's things like write-ups and features, and just having Google have those organic placements that endorse your brand, whether it's like winning an award or having a story about you.
Sure.
For us, when we pitch our clients online, print, broadcast, and podcast. So we cover 360 strategy. We do kind of like cold pitches, where we're reaching out to media that we've created these custom media lists, and we've identified, okay, these writers and these outlets will be interested in this story of this brand. But then we also work very closely with other journalists who have stories that are already cleared to go from their editors, and they need experts in those industries to support those articles. So, that way we kind of we're planting the seed on those big stories, those big full features, but we're also able to incorporate our clients into stories that are, constantly being churned out, that really place them as an authority in their industry.
And you kind of are working in multiple different markets, right? So you work in Las Vegas and then California heavy, right?
Yeah.
That's your two states that you guys are Nevada and
exactly.
California?
Right now we're in Las Vegas and we're in San Diego, and we're always open to more. Actually, I just did a call with somebody today in Texas. Okay. So we have the ability to pitch in any market, and we've had a lot of other success in like markets like Philadelphia, markets like New York. So we're able to go on a national basis.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear.
Yeah, especially to be able to do that, be able to move faster on that side. For business advice, what's a gem of business advice that you could leave our listeners with, or somebody that wants to start their own business, and what would you share with them that a gem that they
I would say really look at your business as an investment. Pay yourself conservatively so that you have money in your business account where you can, prioritize growth. You want to be able to hire the best talent. I'm a firm believer in having a really good lawyer and a really good accountant. I might for myself, if I'm out and about, I might think twice if I want to go buy a designer bag or something. But when it comes to stuff for my business, I just spent a ton of money on this really expensive PR software that's going to help me churn out some pitches a lot more strategically. So, if I didn't have that money in my account, I may be, a little nervous to do those things. But I absolutely,
reinvest.
Exactly. I reinvest, and I know that it comes back tenfold.
That's awesome. Yeah. Just transition a little bit. What's your favorite restaurant in Las Vegas here?
So many. I'm such a foodie. I love to eat. I mean, we go out all the time. Right now, I love this little gem in Chinatown called Nepal Barbecue. It's a Korean barbecue.
You've heard that? You've been there before?
No?
Oh my gosh. We have to go.
Yeah, sounds
it's
fantastic.
Nepal
really
barbecue.
cool.
Okay.
It's 80s themed inside, which is it's like you feel like you're in Tokyo in the 80s. But I just feel like it's a full menu. It's not just beef or pork, because a lot of times when you go to Korean barbecue, I feel like it's just an overwhelming amount of those things.
It's all you can eat place, or is it
it's all you can eat, but they have everything from shrimp, and they have brisket, and then they have chicken wings, and it's just I'm really about that experience, and I do have 2 young children, so I like to be able to bring them places that they think are cool and that are fun, and more importantly, that just taste good. The service is always on point. Everybody works together, and
that's cool. I haven't heard that spot.
Oh my gosh, it's so
barbecue.
good. And the worst thing is when you go somewhere and you're hungry and the food takes forever to come out, and it just Korean barbecue, it doesn't flow like that. So
that's a gem. We haven't had anybody mention that on the show, so that's good. Yeah. So you said Nepal
barbecue.
Okay.
It's Spring Mountain Jones, so delicious.
We'll have to check that out for sure. What else are you concentrating on, just especially with us coming up on the new year? What else are you focused on?
I'm really focusing on getting out and networking more. I'm really focused also, philanthropy is really important to me. I incorporate it into, all the missions that we do for our clients, but I'm looking to get on a bunch of different new boards. I just took my daughter over the weekend to the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation with my dear friend Sherry Quallen, who owns Quallen Advertising.
Awesome.
We just did the PR for Grant a Gift for Autism at Allegiant Stadium, which was amazing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And, I really want to give back to the community, and the service that we have, we can help all kinds of businesses and charities. So I really want to be able to use this gift that we have and try to get maximize the exposure that these charities, so that they can raise more money and do more for the community.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to sit down with
fantastic.
you and be able to pick your brain for a little while. And be
Thank you.
How do people reach out to you? What's your guys' social handles and all that? Yeah.
It's Lindsay, LINDSAY _ Feldman, FELDMAN on Instagram, and BrandBombPR.com. And
awesome.
of course, BrandBomb PR at Instagram.
Well, it's a pleasure, man. And you'll be able to reach
absolutely.
out to us and subscribe with us at Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the ones. So VegasCircle.com. So thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
that was
guys.
great. Yeah.